This is Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Juan Carlos Hernandez. The Copernicus Foundation on Chicago's North Side has celebrated the rich culture of Polish people in our city. And since 1979, their annual Taste of Polonia Festival during Labor Day weekend has drawn people by the thousands. Our guest, Gregg Kobelinski, is here to talk about their work, their center, and the festival. Welcome.
Well, thank you, and I'm very impressed that you got Copernicus outright and Kobelinski outright.
Well, thank you. I grew up around some Polish folks, so I got used to some of the pronunciation.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so let's start off by talking about you and how long you've been part of the foundation and the center. We were talking about that prior to the show. It's pretty interesting.
Right. Well, my father and a group of Poles back in the 70s founded the foundation, and I was involved in the periphery as I was a student, and he was running it. And when he passed, a couple other individuals stepped up to continue running the foundation. But when I kind of got my business affairs all in order, I took over, and I was president for 7 years, and now I'm the managing director, which means that I come in every day and make sure everything works.
Okay, so what was the aim? What was your father looking for with that group of people? What were they hoping to do through this foundation and center?
Right. There was in Chicago. There was already pre-existing the Polish Museum of America, which you see as you go down the Kennedy toward downtown from O'Hare, and that kind of was the spot where you put all the paintings and all the historical artifacts. And there was organizations for the lawyers and doctors, but there didn't exist an organization that strictly focused on preserving Polish culture. So that was kind of the impetus of the whole idea, was to let's form an organization that's going to complement some of the other organizations. There's a Society for the Arts, does film festivals and so forth, and this was going to be an organization that would strictly concentrate on culture.
Okay.
That was the original thought.
And you were involved since you were a child in some way or another, I imagine.
Right.
But what's kept you? Because not everybody follows in their father's footsteps.
I think it was just drilled into us that you have to give back to the community. So this was something my father did philanthropically, and all of my siblings and we all do philanthropic work. And so it was just something that was a normal thing to do. And so when the time came and somebody had to step up and do the work, I did it, and so did a lot of others. I have a whole board of directors, and all of our officers, I think I was telling you before, are all unpaid. So there's a lot of people working to keep the organization going and growing, which we are.
Oh, growing. How are you growing? How are you bringing younger people in, and Polish people that are maybe second, third, fourth generation here in the United States?
Boy, that's the biggest challenge. That's the biggest challenge. The original founders of the foundation, of which only a few are alive, worked very diligently to promote the foundation, and then I guess we're the next generation that has kind of come in and taken over. But to get that youth interested is something that we've been struggling with. I mean, we have younger people that get involved, but to get that intensity and excitement, to have them come and possibly take over for us is probably our biggest challenge, because right now everybody wants their iPhone and their iGames, and they're interested in so many other things than working for a philanthropic organization. Even volunteering. I mean, it's hard to get younger people to come out and volunteer for us.
But those that do become involved, and you are able to pull away from all those distractions, what kind of energy are you getting from them?
Well, that's the key thing. We need to bring the next generation in. Sadly, a lot of our Polish organizations around the city are maybe mired in their old ways, and then that kind of pushes the youth away. And what we've tried to do, we've changed our whole board of directors. We've brought on younger people. We've brought on women from different organizations to kind of straighten us guys out. And but we try to put diversity on that board and that represent different parts of our community. and be open to their ideas. So many of the older organizations are just, well, that's the way we did it, and that's not the way the youth wants to do it. So you're not going to attract them, and you're not going to grow your organization to go on and serve the community in the future.
Right. So is perhaps a key also reconnecting? Because prior to the show, we were talking about how you had reconnected or gone to study in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think part of that might be reconnecting these younger folk with Poland and younger Poles from Poland?
It is. Being a cultural center, we have Polish programs, so we still bring in acts from Poland, theater and musicals and rock groups. So the people that are here that know that those genres and those musicians and actors, they come to our center, and so they associate with the center because of the fact that they're coming for that culture. The big leap is to try and instill that philanthropic urge to them, and for them to devote maybe one night a month to come to a meeting and try and plan an event. That's the toughest thing. There are people out there doing that, but they're few and far between, and trying to reach them is the hardest goal. I think through our programs and the fact that we do a lot of underwriting for in support of many different Polish organizations, that we're starting to be identified as, gee, this is a good organization that we should support. In Poland, for years, after the change in the communists, a lot of foundations, the word foundation cropped up, and they were just fronts, or purportedly just fronts for somebody trying to steal or make money. And so it got a bad connotation.
A lot of mistrust was...
A lot of mistrust in the Polish community. And I think a foundation, if you say, I work for a foundation here, I think most people accept that as you're doing something good. And I don't think that connotation existed maybe. I think it's changing now, and it's our mission now to convince those people through our actions that look at the culture, look at the good we're doing, and you should be part of this.
Well, you mentioned some of the cultural events you are having there at the center, bringing in people from Poland. Also, I imagine celebrating people from Chicago and from the United States. What other types of events are you hosting there or sponsoring across the city?
Well, the center is composed of the main feature is the theater, and so that's our main activity during the year in our theater. When the center, I took over as president, the center had about 70% of its activities and programming was Polish. So it would be Polish bands or Polish theaters coming in and having shows at the center. And it wasn't enough to support the building or the foundation. And as a matter of fact,
there were just so many costs involved with putting
so many,
that up.
and even though we had 70% of the programming was Polish, it wasn't enough to sustain the building and the foundation and our activities. And the center was actually on the verge of bankruptcy, and through the effort of a lot of other people getting together, the bankruptcy was staved off, and we opened our doors not only to the Polish community, but to all the ethnic community in Chicago. And so now, if you go to our website, you'll see a Bulgarian show, a Ukrainian show, an Indian show, a Pakistani show, an Italian show. We just signed a contract with the Sister Cities, Athens, Chicago Sister City Group.
Oh, wow.
They're bringing in a great choir that's been at our facility before to perform a benefit concert. And so by opening it up to all these different ethnicities, we've become a community center in the true sense of the word. We have more Polish programming now than we did then, but it only constitutes about 30% of our activity.
That's interesting.
So it's become, it's a Polish, we call ourselves the Copernicus Center, sponsored by the Polish community, but we're multi-ethnic, and we've brought all these different ethnicities there that have a place on the northwest side.
So the performance is the main thrust of your work. Do you also host art exhibits there? Do you have the space for that?
We do, as of 2 years ago, we do. The theater itself is a traditional theater, so there's
it's a
very
beautiful
little
theater, and we will look at a picture of that.
Okay, good, good. Because I want to talk about that. But there's really, if you picture a movie theater, there's really not, there's a lot of space, but there isn't. I mean, you can't have an art exhibit and then the next day show a movie because you got to take the art exhibit down.
Okay.
So fortunately, about 2 years ago, there was a screw machine shop, 10,000 square feet, that was right adjacent to our building, and we were fortunate enough to be able to buy that. We went through a whole renovation, and so now we have a beautiful building with offices in there and a big display room and banquet room, which I think we're going to show pictures of later. That's kind of got that Chicago industrial loft look, and it's got to be the most popular room in our whole building. And there we've had art galleries and fashion shows.
Okay.
Much smaller scale, about 250 people, whereas the theater's about 2,000. So
2,000.
yeah, a little easier to do it in a 200-person room.
So this is certainly part of what you do for the Jefferson Park area and Chicago, and it sounds like you're doing it for the world, bringing in performers and welcoming people to this new, I guess, banquet office space.
Right.
I'm curious as to your outreach. Have you ever hosted or held performances in any other places? Have you sent any theater groups from here, from Chicago, help sponsor that to other parts of the country or to Poland?
We don't, only because as every foundation we have a mission statement, and when the foundation was created there was a pretty significant and detailed mission statement, and the mission statement in short is that we're supposed to support Polish culture in our community, and which means in Chicago. Okay. It also stated that, then it was further amended by our board, that it was supposed to support culture in our community, meaning the Jefferson Park community. And that allowed for the blossoming of our whole cultural program. And so I think if you walk around Jefferson Park now, as opposed to 10 years ago, people are proud of our center. I mean, you could see it when
Before
you
they
drive
weren't
down.
proud of it, is what you're
You know, they probably they thought it was a church.
Yeah, I've seen it. I thought it was a church too.
Actually, the cupola on top of the tower, on top of the cupola is the Polish eagle. And some people thought it was the cross or maybe some other symbol, and they thought it was a church. And then when you tell them that it was Polish, then they thought they need to have the secret Polish handshake to come in. So I think the expansion of all these programs has really opened up the neighborhood to a lot of people from outside the neighborhood. It supports the businesses and restaurants in the neighborhood. People come into Jefferson Park and see what a beautiful community is. So,
well, and so people are now responding to you. And do people from within the community, artists or other performers, say, do they come into you, into the Copernicus Center and say, can I have an event here, or does it tend to be larger groups and larger performers?
no, it's the smaller groups too. I mean, we have community events at the center probably almost every week or every other week. We host events, and a lot of public organizations just don't have the funding that they need. So we'll host aldermanic forums or aldermanic seminars or neighborhood. Like we have one, I think, next week, where the alderman's presenting some kind of streetscape plan for the neighborhood. So it's so easy for them; they could just walk there. We have a 100-car parking lot, so if somebody can't walk, they just park there and come into our building. We host things for the city of Chicago. We had actually Homeland Security did a big conference at our center just a month ago. And we're happy to do that. We do that all at no charge, and we provide a central location where they're going to draw the neighborhood in. That's going to be convenient for them to come to and see. So that's part of our mission statement, we feel. So we do about $200,000 of underwriting a year.
$200,000
in just providing the facility and the support for all these different groups. I have to give a plug to our Jefferson Park Neighborhood Association, who came to us, and they are organizing with us for the first time in Jefferson Park a do-it-yourself Messiah this Christmas.
A do-it-yourself what?
Messiah. They do this in Orchestra Hall, where you come and you sing.
Oh, wow.
So we sponsor the Paderewski Symphony Orchestra in our building, and they're kind of our in-house symphony and they will be playing, and the entire neighborhood will be invited in to sing the Messiah. Instead of going downtown to Orchestra Hall, you can come right to your neighborhood center and participate. So.
Wow.
So that was the neighborhood coming to us saying, "Can you help us out?" We said, "Absolutely, of course."
And that's just a reflection of how more deeply the roots
Yes.
have grown.
And that's what we like to see. That's what we
great.
like to see.
Well, you brought in some pictures, and they're about the center. So
Right.
let's look at them, and as we look at them, you can tell our viewers what
Okay,
we're
great.
looking at.
Great.
Okay, that is the church steeple, which is not a church steeple, right?
Actually, when the center was purchased back in the 70s, it was the old Gateway Theater, which is what most Chicagoans know it by. And the entire facade was changed. That stucco, the bronze stucco was added, and the columns were added, and that whole tile roof was added, and then the tower was put in place, and that the cupola on top was actually forged in Poland. It's an exact replica of the cupola on the King's Castle, reduced by 20%. And then, of course, on top of there is the Polish eagle that people think sometimes is a cross.
Okay.
So,
And this picture?
this is the annex building that I spoke about that we purchased a couple of years ago. Then this provides a banquet facility, a gallery for fashion shows. A lot of the community meetings are held in this room as well.
And this was a former factory, right?
It was a former factory, and when we started to clean it up, we were really surprised to see the beautiful woodwork on the ceiling after we washed off the grease. And originally they were going to drywall over the ceiling and drywall over the brick, and we said, no, wait a minute. Let's tie this into the city a little bit, and some of the loft looks that are in the city, and it's proved to be exceedingly popular.
And here is
This is our lobby. Okay, this is kind of set up.
It's a beautiful lobby.
Yeah, this actually I think was recently taken. Somebody had a wedding in the lobby.
Wow.
So for a theme wedding, they decided to go to an old movie theater. That's kind of cool. So, but this is the lobby. You're looking at the staircase going up to the balcony there.
And so you not only host community groups, you also have weddings and other types of celebrations.
Right, right.
Wow, that's amazing. It's such a this is the
this is the theater, yeah,
which is beautiful.
Right. The unique thing about the theater here, this was designed by the firm Rapp and Rapp, which, if anyone's an architect, they had a hand in most of the big buildings downtown. But this was the first movie theater designed for the talking movies. So before then, every theater built in Chicago had an organ pit. And no speakers.
No speakers.
So when they designed our theater, it was designed to be acoustically sound, and they took a big chance because nobody thought the talkies would take off.
And what year is this theater
That was
from?
back in 1930s.
1930s.
Yeah, and if you noticed in that picture, there was a blue ceiling that was kind of backlit with there little stars in that ceiling. So when the lights go down and you're having a performance, the columns are lit from the back and there are little stars, and you think that you're in a outside amphitheater, maybe somewhere in Greece.
Oh wow!
I've got to tell you a funny story. A gentleman called because we do a few American bands there. We had Elvis Costello and Pat Benatar, and just I think 3 weeks ago we had the band Yes, the original band from the 70s, right? And a gentleman had purchased the ticket to see them, and he looked on our website and he asked if he should bring an umbrella and a lawn chair because what if it rains? And we said, no, that's that's a ceiling with stars in it, and not the actual sky.
Well, that speaks well of the quality of work there.
Right. And it took a long time to restore the theater when we got it.
How many was it? Years or?
Oh, years and years.
Wow.
Years and years. When
quite expensive, I imagine.
Very expensive, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so people ask a lot of times, well, what do you use the money for? And it's really the expansion and embracing the other ethnic cultures that has allowed us, because we charge for the use of the theater, that has allowed us to take those funds and put it back into the building. And I'm telling you, every time somebody walks in the theater, because not many people even know it's there, they're blown away. We just had a couple, what do they call them, location scouts from California come in they're looking at movie locations, and they just absolutely couldn't believe that a theater like ours existed outside downtown Chicago.
Wow, and I'm sure they'll hopefully be shooting a film there?
I think we had an all we had an all 24-hour commercial shot there by a web design company that went worldwide.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what the promotion was, but so we've had a couple of TV movies come in and shoot fragments of our building. So
And that must fill you with a great sense of pride and accomplishment.
It's
too.
very neat. It's very neat. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about another huge. Well, it's not a building, but a big thing you do. It's Taste of Polonia.
Right.
It's been around more than 30 years.
Right, 34 years. I think I'm told we predate Taste of Chicago by 1 year.
Taste of Chicago, older than Taste of Chicago.
Right. So when the guy had that idea, I keep saying, why didn't he just copyright that taste? That taste, the moniker, but no, it started off in our parking lot, and somebody had an idea. Ed Stefanovich, one of our original founders, said, let's put a couple restaurants in there and a band, and then just have a Polish fest.
One band.
One band. There was just one little stage on a trailer, and boy, has that grown. We went from our one little 100-car parking lot to President George Bush Sr. visiting the Taste, and by then we had expanded out into the street and the parking lot across there, and actually stopped traffic on Lawrence Avenue. There were so many people, just crowds and crowds, and snipers on all the buildings.
So why did he?
He came because he came to address the Polish people, and he came and visited. My dad knew him well, and he came to visit the center, and we had the honor of having President Obama there. Just there's a picture of him on our website, and not only that, funny story, we've got a band coming in from Poland, and Homeland Security is the one that issues their visas, and they wrote us back 2 weeks ago. Well, we wanted. Can you give us some credibility about your event and who you are? Well, it just so happened 2 days before that, President Obama was in Warsaw giving a speech. And about 2 lines into his speech, he said, I enjoy going to Taste of Polonia and having all the hot dog, all the kielbasa and pierogi. So we just took that link and sent it to Homeland Security and said, is this enough credibility?
Wow.
Well, the event's grown it's so big that we're about 25 to 35,000 people now, and we encompass 2 streets around the center and all the parking lots. We're right on the corner of Milwaukee and Lawrence, and one of the biggest attributes to the center, which I hope the founding fathers had thought about, because we're a block away from the Jefferson Park terminal, so anyone on the Blue Line just gets on the train and you walk 1 block and you're at our center, and the Metro stops there too, right at Jefferson Park. So going out all the way to Harvard and all the way into Ogilvie Station, anyone on that line, you have perfect public transportation, and that's such an issue nowadays.
Right.
So it's just such a huge plus for us that so many people can come there. We had a Switchfoot concert. I'm told it's for the young people. I don't know the band, but one of the newspaper people said he was standing in front of the terminal. He said, Gregg, I don't know what was going on Saturday. There were just tons of young people coming out, and they had their phones in front of them, and they were going like this and just walking towards your place. So I said, I guess the public transportation angle's working. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's 2 streets. You're right there in the corner of Milwaukee and Lawrence.
Right.
And how many days is this?
Well, it's been on Labor Day weekend every year for 34 years. We start Friday, and we go Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Monday too.
And Monday too. That's Labor Day, so everybody can play. We're no longer 1 stage. We're 4 stages.
4 stages.
We have a kid stage, which turns into DJ and reggae at night for the kids that like that. We have a world music stage, which features polka bands in the day, and then we bring in. This year we bring in 3 bands from Poland. That's our tradition, to bring in Polish acts. And then we have a tribute stage, which we're married a little bit to classic rock, I guess maybe because of my age. But that seems what the neighborhood likes, and we bring in some really great tribute bands and cover bands. And then everyone that comes there usually comes for the music, but also for the food. So we've got about 14 restaurants that you can choose from, right? So
all Polish food?
You know, this year, for the first time, we're having an Armenian restaurant.
Okay.
And he came and he said, well, that's kind of similar. And I said, okay, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. So we've got a variety of Polish restaurants, a lot of kielbasa, a lot of pierogis, but a lot of the other different foods that maybe people wouldn't be so familiar with here.
And pastries too, I hope?
Pastries too, and ice cream. And then, you know, our fest has grown so much, and it's kind of grown into more of a family fest. We used to be mostly adults, and so this year we've dedicated a whole area, a whole parking lot just full of the bounce houses and all that the kids like. So we're trying to appeal and fit the needs of the neighborhood involved. And you'd be surprised. Last year we had a bus pull up in front of the center, and he let all these people out, and he said, where do you park? And we told him the parking lot down there. I said, well, I'm from Canada. We just came from Montreal. I don't know this area at all. I'm like, wow, okay. We have a contest every year to see who came the furthest, but we get people out of Pennsylvania and Indiana and Montreal.
Wow.
So it's, well, it's the largest Polish fest in the country, so it's, we try and have something for everyone.
Wow, this sounds like a great time.
Yeah,
And well, unfortunately, we're out of time now. But
Okay.
But thank you so much for coming out. And
Hey, it's been really great talking to you, and I wish you guys the best of success.
well, thank you, and I'll look for you at the fest.
I'll send you tickets.
Okay, great.
Take
Thanks.
care.
And to you, our audience, thank you for joining us. Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Fernandez. Thank you for joining us.